Welcome back to Pawplexity, a podcast about how living with dogs
and cats
keeps rewriting the way we live, we think, and we try to figure things out. One German, 3 very different dogs, and 3 lives changed forever by them. We talk about behavior, about instincts, mistakes, expectations, and the complicated and beautiful reality of sharing a life with a pet. We don't have all the answers, but we are here to explore the questions. I'm Annika, and today we want to talk about our dog walks in their entirety, the object of the leash, the route, and what happens when you take the leash off. Because all of it, turns out, is saying more than we realized. Bruce and Ben are here with me today to talk about all of their adventures and their experience. Hi, Bruce. Hi, Ben.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Hi, guys. Let's start with a couple of practical things because everyone's setup is a bit different. Different dogs, different equipment, different number of dogs by now. And we're waiting for the third one, Bruce. What does a dog walk with Judge look like for you, Bruce?
So with Judge, we have a pretty good routine down. I try to let him lead the way. Sometimes in the morning when I have work and I'm a little rushed, I kind of lead him. But I like to try to get him a nice loop so he could do his business so I don't have to worry about him throughout the day. He definitely likes to sniff, as we said on the other episode. Sometimes he likes to lick things, so I got to kind of pull him away. But he definitely sniffs a lot. And I try to let him go where he wants to, but, sometimes I have to limit his movement because of like mud or something like that. But yeah, we have a good routine and it works for us.
That's great. Ben, what does a walk with Bowie look like? Do you do the same route every day or do you have a couple of variations?
Variations. We usually do like a couple of field walks sometimes, but otherwise we can go to the forest nearby. We usually walk around the forest. Or there's a very long walk, which I don't take him on too frequently just because he's... with his leg at the moment, he's still recovering, still going on, but he's it's better. But yeah, they're usually off leash because the forest is very close by. There's no main roads. Only time I put him on leash is if I see people coming with other dogs because you never know.
No.
Yeah. So that's the only time he really goes on leash. But he's usually good as gold. Although he will roll in poop at the minute he finds it.
Any poop?
Any poop. Actually, horse poo, he doesn't roll in. But, yeah. Any other poo.
Makenzie is very interested in horse poo. I think
Really?
that's her favorite. She's not rolling in it yet, but she's very intrigued by it. Yet, we don't know. So I don't want to say never or anything definitive, but, well, yeah.
No, I've not seen him roll in horse poo yet.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So out of all the dogs and cats involved that are being walked, who is the one that is leading the walk?
Max.
Yeah.
Max walks ahead of everybody.
The tiniest one.
Yep. He's got a little posture. And he does get afraid easily, so he runs back a lot, but he's the one who's got to be out there first.
Do you think is that the puppy behavior or is that just his personality?
I think it's because we do keep him in the pen often because he's still, he's only 8 months now, so he's still a puppy. So it's not like he's completely housebroken yet. His issue is marking right now. He goes to the mat when he has to go, pee or poop, but he will still mark sometimes. So I'm hoping after we get him neutered that will stop. And for the meantime, we can't let him out too much. But, I do let him run around and we put a diaper on him. But yeah, I think it's because he's so excited to get out of the playpen that he's like, I got to run, see what the world looks like.
Yeah, true. I forgot, Ben Bowie is neutered as well?
Bowie's neutered, yeah.
Yeah. Did the barking stop? Because you both have boys, I'm just not as aware.
It wasn't that bad. It went down less. He still marks, but it reduced. It was more the humping that was a problem for it.
Oh, interesting.
It was humping everything in the apartment. Yeah, so
and that
I was
stopped.
like, this is to stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Judge was not a humper, was he?
Oh, Judge is a humper.
Are still
He
on.
still
Oh my
is.
god.
Nothing changed with. I have to say, this might be the last dog I neuter, because I didn't see a difference in Judge's behavior.
Okay.
He still marks all the time. I mean, I walked him. I just got home and I just walked him, and he peed 10 times on our walk. He still humps, and so I
I
don't.
guess just neutering from a perspective, it makes dogs less of a
Horm-
threat to other dogs.
Less
Yeah,
hormone
well,
driven.
you mean in terms of becoming a baby daddy?
No. Like
Okay.
male dogs find other other male dogs that haven't been neutered more of a threat. They can smell it, they can sniff it,
Okay.
so they're
Yeah, I don't
more
know.
likely to be aggressive towards dogs that are unneutered.
Yeah.
And I've actually
Gotcha.
seen that in like Kane is not neutered here.
Because that's my biggest thing that I'm worried about is if I
Yeah.
don't neuter Max, um, where my sister-in-law has another dog too, another Chihuahua, and I'm just waiting for the day that they're gonna, sneak around the corner real quick, and in a few
Oh,
months we're
okay.
gonna
Well,
have.
that is an issue.
So
Because
it's like you have to be so
interesting.
careful because it happens so quickly with them.
Yeah. And they're so tiny, you just don't see them. They're just like really for a
Exactly.
second. Yeah.
And when we bring him to daycare, they won't let him in Gen Pop. He's got to be in his own little. He's allowed to be with Judge, obviously, because nothing's gonna happen there. So I put them in the same like pen,
Mhm.
but he's not allowed to go out for playtime. Judge can, but Max can't because they don't want him to have a few baby mamas.
Yeah.
It is really interesting because in Germany, neutering is not a thing as much as in the US. Maybe it is a bit of deviation, but we do need to maybe dive into that with a bit more scientific background. But it
Yes,
is
we
because
should.
there is, I think, not as much daycare, not because it is also a new thing in Germany, right? Have doggy daycare, all of these
Mhm.
things like dog parks are not a thing. You're basically not alone with your dogs, but you meet the dogs that you're friendly with, and they are never put together artificially in that way. And when we had Makenzie, she had to be spayed as well in order to be able to go to daycare, to dog parks, and all of these things. So it's
Yeah.
like society dictates differently that we need to dive into. But let's go back to the walk. Speaking of Max, how has your walk changed? So now we know Max always goes first, but I feel as you being the one holding both leashes now, because the cats don't walk, right? They don't walk outside.
No, we tried with Nipsey to walk with her, but she forgets how to walk when we put the harness on. So
Freezing.
she
Yeah.
just kind of crouches down and she'll walk a little bit, and then I think she's just too afraid. She's not used to it.
Yeah.
I might try again because I think now that her and Judge and Max have kind of bonded, like they play together all the time. I think if she sees them do it, maybe she'll follow. I don't know. We do have someone in our building that does walk their cat though.
I saw that a couple of times in Seattle and in London outside Saymakers. There was this couple who walked their cat constantly.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's with the two leashes. So I bought this little device here. It's called a coupler, and you hook one on to one dog's leash harness and the other to the other, and then in the middle you hook your leash,
That's cool.
and so they can walk together. The one issue that I have found with that is they do have to be pretty close to each other, so they don't really have a lot of independence. And like if one wants to go sniff, the other one has to go sniff. And also they now both pee on the same thing. And when they're right next to each other, they kind of cross streams, and it can get a little messy sometimes. So when I want to do like a quick little like more of a walk for like leisure, I'll put them on that. But when I'm walking them to go to the like bathroom outside, then I'll keep them on two separate leashes.
Separately.
It's not that difficult. It's a little bit more stressful than normal, but it's easy enough. They're both small. If they were bigger dogs, I could see it being a bigger problem.
Do you think they kind of pay attention to each other? So does Judge let Max sniff longer if they're on the what did you call it? Combination?
Coupler.
Coupler. And if they're on the coupler, do they pay more attention to each other?
Yeah, they definitely sniff on the same stuff. They pee on the same stuff. I think
nice.
Max just follows Judge's lead mostly. Because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just so happy to be outside. His just tail's wagging. He's like, going crazy. But yeah, I think Max just follows Judge.
Wow. For a couple of more months maybe, and then he'll be the leader of the pack.
Yeah,
We'll see.
exactly.
We'll see.
So how about with Makenzie? How is Makenzie with the leash?
I mean, she's a complete on-leash dog because she's a Shiba. She is a kind of escape artist. And
So is
again,
Judge.
she I think they're similar in character in that way. But in Seattle, it was easy because we would go to the dog park. She would be off. Not that she had the perfect recall then, but we would always get her back because she moved in packs. And then if somebody else who was in that pack returned to their mom or dad, she would just come running anyway. So it was pretty feasible, to be honest. I never realized that that might be an issue later on. And then we moved to London and there were no more dog parks. And then we moved to Italy, there's no more dog parks. So in London, she had to become an on-leash dog, or like we all had to learn better to walk, because in Seattle, we would just use the walk to go to a dog park or go to the car to get her to the beach. And in London, she actually had to learn, or I had to learn, we both had to learn to understand that the walk is the recreation. It is not only to get us somewhere. It is something to be enjoyed, to take a time. So actually this sniffing and walking around on leash, she had to learn. That took us quite a bit of time. We're getting better. But she can choose where we go. She can sniff whatever she wants because sniffing is just the most important thing. And then sometimes when she has a friendly dog or when there is room to roam around here, there's not so much, but we'll drop the leash. It's a shorter one, like I want to say 3 meters maybe. So we drop it and then she can play and interact. So whenever there's an off-leash dog charging, I usually drop the leash so that she has some freedom of movement and that she can react properly to whatever comes our way. I feel most people use the lead as a bit of a control device. So you keep them close, you control their movements, you make sure they're safe, they're not running into traffic. You steer them or you stop them or you ask them to move along. I see still so many people pulling their dogs along, which is always a bit of a heartache to me because I think there are better ways to ask, most likely better ways to comply from the dog's perspective too. But I keep thinking because I use the leash and I had to learn it in such intense way to use it as a communication device because the leash is connected to you and to the dog, and you transfer so much information and so much emotion through it. So it's the only physical connection you have to your dog. And when you hold it and you're angry or you're emotional or you're pulling, the dog will feel it. So you put all that feeling and frustration and distraction and energy into it. How is that a point of view that you share? Or is it just me being too much tuned into Makenzie again?
I don't know. Yeah, I do. I mean, dogs do go off your energy. I know that, but so I don't know. I've just never really been in a situation, I guess, where I've had to really pull Bowie back or.
Because Bowie is like a really good person to read you. And he's not a puller, right? He just doesn't pull on the leash as much.
He leads, but he doesn't pull.
Yeah, exactly. But he's more pleasing in the sense that if you want to move on, he moves on. If you're stuck in London traffic, he comes with you. See, Makenzie is the other way, complete opposite. So you kind of have to, we are constantly communicating through this leash and I don't want to pull her.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
because...
Yeah. At the beginning, when he was a puppy, that was when he was learning to walk on the leash. God, that was bloody hard. Oh, God, that was hard.
You remember.
I remember, like, he just sat down. He just sort of put his paws down. He was like, get this thing off me. And I was like, oh, God. That's where the compromise had to come in and be like, come on, we just sat there in the blistering cold.
But it didn't take him too long to understand what you needed, right?
No, he was good as gold because he knew if he walked, he would get to where he wanted to go. Yeah, for Bowie, it is always like, mainly it's like a place we go. It's always like somewhere at the end of the walk that he's going to be enjoying. It's usually a park. It might be the field. It might be the forest. It might be, somewhere we're going. But he enjoys the walk, obviously, himself. But he's always excited to go somewhere.
But how? Because Mackenzie's always excited to go somewhere as well. But in the beginning, she was just like, I only want to get there. I don't even pay attention to the walk at all. So how did you get Bowie to understand that the walk itself is where the fun is as well.
He has his sniffs along the route, but he just, I don't know. I think he realized, like, whatever route we're going, he knows what's at the end.
Yeah.
Whether, if we're going to the park, he knows the walk to the park. If we're going to the forest, he knows the walk to the forest. He knows where he's going. So it's like he trots along. He's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a bit more easygoing. I feel like he's more this super happy. I'm just like trudging along, absorbing everything at the same time and being happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had any stress, to be honest.
Wow, that is really sweet. How about Judge?
So yeah, I mean, obviously the leash is definitely a connection between the two of us. I try to let him do his thing as much as possible. Unfortunately, people don't pick up after their dogs, so I do have to pull him sometimes so that he doesn't step in, someone else's dog's poop, and also just other little hazards and things like that. So I have to kind of pull him. He does also like to pull. He's always pulled. So I actually have the harness where it clips in the front so that when he pulls, it kind of stops him because it makes him off balance. It like twists their chest. But yeah, I try to let him do as much as he wants and, sniff around. And I try not to pull him, but every once in a while. And then also I do think sometimes he does feel like, I know in the morning sometimes I'm rushed. So it's like, I'm getting ready. I have to go to work. I have to be somewhere. And I'm kind of like, come on, Judge, do your thing. And like, I could tell he'll walk faster, He doesn't always go faster, but he'll know that I'm like in a rush. And so he'll walk faster. And, like I said, I wish he would just go quicker. Max goes right away. Max is like, you bring him outside, he does his business. I don't know if it's because he's always cold and he just wants to come back into the warmth, or
still,
if like he's just that well trained at this point.
I won't go for that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not that one because we didn't really. I trained him in the beginning, but now he just goes on the pads. So I guess he just wants to come back in.
I came across a story that was super interesting. There was a person who had to walk his dog, sometimes the same thing, and because in the morning he was rushed, he had to go to work, and his dog wouldn't oblige. And then a trainer came up with the idea to put on 2 different harnesses, one for the quick walk and one for the enjoyable walk, so that the dog would know as soon as the harness came on that this is what is happening today.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually solved their problem. That is a super smart way to go about it, I thought.
I'll have to try that.
It took a bit of training, I guess. I was thinking about trying it for Makenzie, but she's like, any harness that comes on is a nightmare anyway. So she's like, I hate them all. So it doesn't really matter what you intend to do. But did you know that working on a collar increases the inocular pressure in dogs? I didn't know that because I did want her to wear like a pretty collar. We discussed that last time, I think, like a super pretty pattern collar, because she looked cute in it. But when the dog pulls or the leash, it doesn't even need to be a big pull. It's really difficult, and it increases that pressure in the eye, which is especially difficult for short-nosed breeds who also already may have issues with an intraocular pressure. I didn't know that. Did that occur to you at all when you put collars on?
I didn't know that either. No, I had no idea. I usually like to use a harness anyway, just because of more control. Same. But like, if I was just going out with Bowie, let's say just going out to the, the little green outside sailmakers just for a wee and poo, I'd usually just do the collar. He's
not a puller, so he doesn't pull. So there is no pressure on him, and the collar is pretty loose, so he could even slip out of it.
Although,
I feel.
Actually, he when he did, he put on the collar. His routine was to get back into sailmakers, and the person at the desk had to give him a treat from the fucking treat jar.
Treat jar. We love you, sailmakers. We love the treat jar.
Yeah. And if I got to that door in sailmakers to go back into the elevators, he would pull on the leash and slip the collar, get it out of his neck so he could get to the front desk to get his treat. I'm like, oh, mate.
That's funny.
Did he choke?
Yeah. Yeah, and choke himself to get the treat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. A collar is not the best idea.
Yeah. I didn't realize that it increased intraocular pressure. I knew it wasn't the best for them. I always was more concerned about the throat.
Me
and
too.
like the collapsing trachea. That's why we have Judge on a harness. I
Same.
remember when we took in the beginning, we took him to a dog trainer that my friend used, and they liked she recommended the pincher collar, the one with the metal things that go into their neck.
Oh no.
And that's what she recommended. And everyone in America insists it does not hurt the dog, um, unless they pull, it feels uncomfortable, and then they stop, and that's the whole point of it.
They don't
So
stop.
I remember I got him one, and then all of a sudden, like, he started like right after my parents came over that day, and he went bonkers, and she told me to just leave it on him in the house and like let him get used to it. And so it was the first day I had it on, and he ran and like pulled it, and then he was like, like choking and coughing for like an hour after that. And I'm like, all right, I'm not using this anymore. And so I stopped using it. We used it when he did his service dog stuff in the airport because he did behave on it, but that was just only 2 more times. But yeah, I was like, you said it was not going to do anything. So I always thought the collar was worse for the trachea, not the eyes, which is interesting. I mean, it makes sense if like blood rushes to your head, if like your intracranial pressure goes up, like your intraocular pressure will go up too. So
Eye expert. Exactly. I wanted you to explain
yeah,
it. But because I remember now that you're saying it, it's like memories come up that because Makenzie was always pulling when she was a puppy, I read so many things about also that collar, or the ones that just not with the spikes, but the ones that tighten just a tiny bit.
yeah, she
So
liked
that
that one too, the choker collar. Yeah,
I mean, a collar was never an option anyways, but I always felt like if you put it on yourself and you just like it's not even pressure that you put up here and you can already not breathe. Like, how
hmm
kind is that on a dog? It's like, yeah, but it is what is recommended still, right? It is something, it needs to be
yeah,
said that these things are, I mean, obviously you get anyone to behave if you just choke them. I mean, who wouldn't
yeah,
comply
exactly.
in order to
Choking
get it stopped?
this
But,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But there may be better options. So it's not, we're not trainers. So, but that is the one thing I think that all of us agree. There are better options.
So all of our dogs use a harness, right? Because
Yes,
like
all of
Judge
them.
does. Okay, unless just short walks, I guess, with Ben. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
but
I also I feel like there's more points of contact.
yeah,
Like it touches both sides of the shoulder, and then like under their like paw pits, I guess you call them. And
Yeah.
she has
and
much
then
more strength, I feel like, because the strength, the weight and the force goes through the like the breast. She can like full body force pull
yeah,
me across the
but
street.
there's more contact like up
Yes,
here.
yeah,
There's more instead of just their little neck. Because Judge has a
yes.
tiny neck, and Max's is even smaller. I always just felt bad, like with something around their neck. I just never liked it. I'm sure the harness isn't the most comfortable thing in the world, but I kind of feel like it's almost like wearing like a jacket or something. I mean, the difference is that
Yeah.
there's a string to it and someone's pulling me everywhere I got to go, but um, I
But
feel like
there
it's
are
got to be
so
more
many
comfortable.
harness variations, I think, depending on the dog's build. It makes sense to look into the harness and really check out where does it put the pressure on. Is there enough room to
hmm
breathe? Is there enough movement for the shoulder blades? All of that. Because every harness
hmm
and every dog is different and they all have different fits. So there is no one size fits all. Again, another episode in the making. Coming back to the leash and sorry, I forgot the word again, connector.
Coupler.
I will forever forget that word. Sorry. So from now on, it's most likely the connector because we just talked about how the leash is also a relationship, unless you have a perfect dog like Bowie, and then you don't need it. We have a separate relationship outside the leash, but because it introduces a second dog or a third dog, introduces another person into that relationship. I imagine that walking with Judge, even though he sometimes may be pulled a little bit, were quite different to now adding Max, who has their own personality and his own wishes. And of course, he follows Judge's lead because he's still a tiny puppy. But if you translate all of that pulling and the movement into relationship, what does it feel like to walk both of them?
So yeah, no, I mean Max definitely has his own desires. Um, like and sometimes it's funny when they're on the coupler and one goes this way and one goes that way, and it's like they kind of both jerk themselves like towards the middle. That's why I don't always walk them with it. Usually if we go to like the dog park, I put them on that, and then they know they're going. So actually, I think that's almost kind of like what you were talking about before with the different kind of harnesses. I feel like now they know when I put that on that they're both going to the dog park. Which
see?
Judge definitely knows the route for that. He knows exactly where that is, and he always wants to go there. But yeah, I mean, they definitely both have their own desires still, and that's why it's nice to have them on the 2 leashes so that they can kind of explore a little bit more where they want to go. It's just then I have like 2 dogs spread out, I take up a lot of room that way.
I can imagine. Um, Let's go into what happens when the leash comes off. So this is something that I cannot contribute to because Makenzie is rarely off leash, but I know Judge and Max are in the dog park at least, and Bowie can roam freely. Off leash obviously is the best exercise for the dog because they are free, they can sniff, they can do whatever they want. And maybe I only meet those people, but a lot of people who just like unleash their dogs and let them roam freely. And then all of a sudden their responsibility is off. With the leash clipping off, it's like, ooh, who cares where the dog is? They'll be good. I don't need to see them. They can be off leash wherever they want, which is something that I do have a problem with because I do think when you off leash your dog, the responsibility is even greater, not to control, but to understand what your dog is doing, who are they bothering, worst case, and what their actions are. I know, Ben, that you're completely aware. And I don't think with Bowie, I would never have a problem because I always kind of saw him keeping a bit of a distance when he runs up to a dog. But have you ever had an encounter where that didn't go so well?
I mean, off leash for me and Bowie. I mean, at the beginning, I always keep an eye on him when he's off leash anyway. Just especially if there's other dogs around, if we're in a park. Like I said, the only time his recall isn't good is if he sees other dogs he wants to go and say hello to, which can be a problem sometimes, because even Bowie's small, it can still be a bit intimidating when you have a dog running towards your dogs. And that's when Bowie
Medium size.
Yeah, medium size. That's when Bowie is a little bit of a nightmare. And, I'm screaming across the field like, he's friendly.
Yeah, I hate these people. I'm so sorry.
I know,
So
I know.
sorry.
But like, I always try and, I just can't keep him up. Like, it's really hard to predict when that's going to happen because, like, he sees the dogs before I do,
Yeah,
and I can't ever like get to him fast enough. So,
I know.
yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Which is why.
I think it was the first time he met you and Makenzie, and he was sort of like, you went up to Makenzie
Yeah.
straight away, and I was like, oh God.
But he was, which is what I meant. He was there full energy, full force, but
Yeah.
he kind of gave her a bit of a boundary that she appreciated in the sense that she didn't have to react with teeth out and everything, and that I did
Yeah.
appreciate. So I was a bit worried. Like these dogs, I don't have as much of a problem with, but the dogs that come up, like tail up, really like dominant, coming on, and she reacts to them. And then she's pissed off and the other dog is pissed off. And the owner is just like, oh, he's friendly. Like, well, can you read body language? No, not friendly.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they're friendly. Put them on your leash, take them away from me. Because it's like,
not,
it doesn't matter what they are.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's so, that's what I really need to work on that with Bowie because like,
Sorry.
Bowie doesn't run up to bigger dogs. It was only the small ones he runs up to, but still,
Medium size.
Medium size. Like, it's still like, it's not Bowie. It could be the other dog that will react, and then it's a problem.
Yeah.
I know Bowie will never do anything, but it's not. He doesn't understand that. So yeah, it's.
But again, like from the point of view of the person who has these incidents quite a lot, I think Bowie still has this boundary that he keeps that I do appreciate a lot.
Yeah, no, he does. He doesn't get right in the dog's face. It's more of a curiosity. He wants to go and go and have a look. But remember I did it to to a woman in the park, and she was like picked up her dog, and she was like spinning around away from Bowie, and I was like,
He's not that bad.
I know, I know, he's tiny.
But you
I
wouldn't
was
know. You
like,
don't know.
calm
You don't know.
down,
Yeah.
calm down. Like, he's clearly not aggressive. Like, come on, he's just. But
But
yeah,
then if you are this person who is worried about your own dog and then a dog
yeah,
comes
yeah,
charging,
yeah,
maybe you don't have the capacity to read their body language. Also, how do you baseline because you don't know that dog? So,
yeah, 100%.
yeah,
I get it.
yeah,
I get it. I
yeah,
mean, I'd be the same with Bowie. I'd be as protective with Bowie.
yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, off leash, he's just fine. He doesn't walk too far away from me. He needs me in his sort of eye contact. He needs me. He needs to be able to see me.
Yeah, that is
Um,
good.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't stray far from the path.
Ugh, yeah, he's just a perfect dog.
He's a good boy.
How about Judge? Because I know Judge is also not like the biggest off-leash dog out on the
Yeah,
street.
I don't let him off leash. Like, well, first of all, I mean, there are in like the community that we're in, there are rules. So you're not supposed to let your dog off leash. Like, if your dog's outside, unless they're in the dog park, they're supposed to be on leash.
On-leash.
And there are people that let their dog off the leash, and of course they always come up to him, and not really aggressively, but it is kind of I am kind of like, I don't know your dog, like, and then if your dog bites my dog because they're off leash, like, it's a problem. That's the main reason why I don't let him off leash, like, around our community. I also don't think I would ever see him again, possibly, because he would probably just keep running and hitchhike his way out of here. But yeah, like, I remember one time at Mudchute, I let him off the leash, and I mean, he was like gone. Like,
Wait.
well, we were in the fenced in area, but he didn't care about me. He was with all the other dogs. It was me and Tatiana, and he went all the way. He was running all around. I couldn't get him back. I even brought chicken with me as like
God.
the
Oh, that would be
enticement to
Bowie
come
straight.
back. He wouldn't. I couldn't. I had to eventually. I basically dove for him because he was running around me. Like, he wouldn't come actually to me, and that happened for like, I don't know, half an hour. I was trying to get him. Thank God, like, we were in the enclosed area. So I don't. I mean, I do
Be
think
large
that he would
field.
go pretty far. It's not like he has to see me. I guess he can see me, but he'll go far. But yeah, I only let him off leash at the dog park. Anywhere, like, when we do our walks, he's on the leash, and also because, God forbid, he's off leash and he runs up to a dog on leash. It's his fault. It's like, whoever's dog. If you have a dog on leash, it's never their fault if anything happens. So even if they attack another dog that's off leash, it doesn't matter. They're allowed to defend them. They feel threatened if they're on the leash. They already are. They're behind the 8 ball because they're restricted. So they're going to have their guard up a little bit more. And if a dog off leash runs up to them and attacks them, you're fine. It's like that won't be a problem for your dog.
Is that legal, a law or illegal?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
That is good to know.
So in the United States, different states have different laws, but I'm pretty sure for the most part, if your dog is on the leash, it's not their fault. Like, unless you walk up to the person with your dog on the leash,
sure.
I guess. But if they're minding their own business and they get approached by another dog, it's fine. At least according to Judge Judy. And for all the American audiences, you guys know who I'm talking about.
We have the equivalent. I forgot. Richterin Barbara Salisch, I think, is her name. Do you think off-leash dogs are happier dogs than on-leash dogs, generally?
I think so. I do think that they do need that time. That's why I like to take them to the dog park, because I do think for their mental stimulation, they can't be controlled all the time. I just also think there's a yin and a yang to everything. If I let my dog off leash to be happy and he runs and gets hit by a car, he's not going to be happy anymore. And, I think I would hope that I have a higher intelligence than my dog. And I think it's our responsibility to keep them safe. They're kind of, in my opinion, they're kind of like children in that way. You would love to let your child run all around all the time, but sometimes you have to have them in a stroller because you might be in on a busy street or, something like that. And you need to keep them safe. We put kids in car seats so that, they're safe. And I think in a way, I look at it like the leash isn't restricting his livelihood or his life. It's to keep him safe.
I like that. I have so many discussions and so many thoughts about it constantly because, again, Makenzie is a leash dog now. And I know that it restricts her, as you said, right? It kind of restricts her movement, but then again, she can go wherever she wants to go. I look like an idiot following her to wherever she wants to go, puddles, woods. I don't really care. Bushes, people's backyards. I really don't care. I pay attention that the leash is always so loose that she doesn't need to pull. And then when she wants to sniff, I'm just more her shadow than anything else. In these moments where she can sniff, it's only when there is like a busy road or I need her to not run in front of a car, which is something that she absolutely loves doing because, again, she
Yeah.
thinks every car drives her to a beach. So she also wants to get into every car. That is a bit of an issue sometimes, depending on who's inside the car.
Judge loves trucks, like lorries and buses.
But yeah,
Well, I shouldn't say he loves them. I think he's scared by them. But what he does is he lunges at them. And, I have him on the leash and I have to pull back at that point because, I don't know what he would do. I would love to be able to run like a simulation of like, what's going through his head. I honestly think he would try to attack these multi-thousand pounds of just rolling heavy, basically death if he ever got to it.
yeah.
I don't know what he would try to do to it, but one time in particular, I remember it stands out. When we had just moved back to New Jersey, our first apartment was on a kind of, it was in a complex, but then we would walk on the road and there was there was buses that would pass by. And one time we were walking on the sidewalk or pavement, as you guys say, and a
Bürgersteig.
bus, there you go. And a bus came from behind us. And thank God I have quick reflexes because there wasn't much room. There's only it was sidewalk, maybe like this much grass, and then road. And he just lunged and I jerked back. I mean, he was with it. He wasn't like inches away, but he was maybe a meter away. And I don't know if I wouldn't have jerked the leash back. I think he would have just jumped right into the bus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that's why he needs to be on the leash because he just, I don't know why. I think maybe because they're loud and they're bigger. I think he's scared, so it's like his version of like kind of attacking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the main reason. I mean, one of the main reasons why. I also, like I said, I think he'd hitchhike out of here. But
Yeah.
and you're too cute. He's sleeping right next to me right now.
Makenzie runs in front of the cars and again tries to stop them. She doesn't understand because she lives such a sheltered life. I think she would disagree. But she doesn't even know I'm constantly running around her trying to like move every obstacle out of the way, and she doesn't realize it. So she would just like run, stop, and whatever is there is like, please stop for me.
Yeah.
My mom makes everything stop for me, so everybody has to, and I'll just wherever we go.
So then you run out into the middle of the road.
Of course I do. It's like I have
to get their attention.
It's like it's a new definition of helicopter mom. It's like I need to come up with a proper term. No longer helicoptering, but like outside, freeing, moving all obstacles away, mom.
Yeah.
So Ben, you don't have any worry about Bowie chasing like cars or anything like that?
Squirrels.
I'll always keep him on the leash if we're going road walking. I'd never let him.
Okay.
Never when there's a main road near. It's only if we're going, around the forest or in a park or something. I usually let him off leash. Never on a road. He did the same thing as not quite Judge's extent, but he did it once when he was younger. When we go to the park, he was on leash, but he lunged into the road on his leash because he knew we were near the park, and he tried to cross the road straight away. And I'm like, that was
that's
scary.
what gets me scared.
Yeah. So he doesn't ever go off leash near the roads. I saw so many people like with dogs around Canary Wharf that had them off leash on the roads, like near our buildings and stuff. And I was like, that's crazy, because all it takes is a squirrel or something just to like, just appear and run across the road, and the dog sort of
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
wants
or just an
wants to
unknown noise, or
yeah,
like
no noise, anything.
a
Dogs
whiff of a sniff,
That's
something.
it. It's just dogs are unpredictable,
Yeah.
so you
Well,
just
I
gotta
mean,
listen.
they're consuming so much more information out of the environment that we can see. You cannot see
Yeah,
a smell. It's,
yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
crazy.
But I remember we were in, was it McDougal Park with Dobby and Bowie one time. And both of them were off leash, Makenzie obviously not. But Dobby, who's usually super, super mellow and not interested in any triggers, she ran after a squirrel
Yeah, she saw squirrel
across the
across the main
street,
road.
and Bowie didn't. So he
No,
came back. That was amazing because he saw the same squirrel. So he was in the same situation triggered by a squirrel. And Dobby, who usually really doesn't do anything ever at all, just
it's triggered
ran.
her.
And Bowie,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
Bowie was so
I
good. He was,
expect squirrels not that bad, but I think I shouted at him, and he
yeah.
stopped.
Yeah, but he did. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
everybody shouted at Dobby as well, but
yeah,
hmm,
I think, yeah. I don't know. Actually the other day, we have a pond here, and he saw some ducks. Fuck it. Like he absolutely sprinted to these ducks, and even my voice couldn't stop him. Like,
how did the
because
ducks
So
like
there
it?
is something that he will not
there is
listen to
something,
you
but I
about.
think it's because the ducks
There
are
you
on.
go. Well, I'm glad there's something that Bowie doesn't listen to. So he is a
Yeah,
normal
yeah,
duck after all,
that makes me feel better too.
right?
Fun fact.
So we basically know Bowie is an angel until ducks come into play. Bruce and I just said, very glad that he is a
Yeah, I
regular
mean,
dog after all.
he's angel, but he's like, oh God, like the food thing is getting an issue at the moment. Like he's proper scrounging all the time. He'll eat dinner and come out, and then like my dad gave him a treat today, and it was a little mini jumbo thing, and it was just after breakfast, and I was like, I went up to him because he came out into the garden with it, and I just took it out of his mouth, broke it in half, and I was like, you can have that. You're not having a whole one. And then I put the remaining jumbo in this bowl, like in the garden, like hidden away. And then later this afternoon, just before this call, like I was sat outside, and he was just staring at this bowl like this, and I'm like, how do you even know it's in there?
They're smart. I'm telling you, they're so smart.
Yeah. For this episode, I want to recommend the book On Talking Terms with Dogs, which is kind of a Zungenbrecher. Calming Signals by Ture Trugas. She is a Norwegian dog trainer who spent years documenting the subtle signs dogs use to communicate with each other and with us. So the yawning, the blinking, the looking away, turning sideways, looking down slowly, licking. All the signals that are happening constantly on every walk and that most of us move straight past. Reading this book felt really connected to everything we just discussed because the walk is where most of this communication is happening with us, with other dogs, with everything in the environment, and most of us we miss, especially when they're off leash. It's a short book, it's very accessible, and it will change what you see the next time you're holding that leash or you're looking at your dog. Which brings us to what we want to hear from you.
Yeah, so we'd love to hear from you guys. How do you guys go on your walks? Do you guys use your leash? Do the dogs roam freely? Do you choose the route, or do you let the dog choose it for you? And do you, how often do you let them sniff? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, you can message all of that on Instagram, on Pawplexity Podcast. Check out our videos on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, or visit and subscribe to our website, www.Pawplexity.Dog, for everything about the episode. If you like what we're doing, please leave us a review or a comment right where you're listening to this or wherever you want to comment. We do appreciate this so much. This is Pawplexity, and today we discuss the walk in its entirety, the leash, the route, the off-leash, anyone you encounter, everything you experience. It turns out the leash was carrying more than we thought in both directions. We'll be back next time with another everyday moment that turns out to be more complicated or easier than it looks. Bruce and Ben, thank you so much for sharing all your experiences.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody, and remember to pick up after your dog.